Hey horror fans, welcome back to Room 237, and this isn't part of my extreme horror marathon that I've been doing. I'm just doing this because it's a sequel and I reviewed the first film. But The House is October Built 2 from 2017, sequel to the 2014 film, and also known as Hellbent in some countries. Made by the same crew as the last one, directed by Bobby Rowe, produced by Zach Andrews, who also wrote and stars, along with Bobby Rowe, who also stars. Produced by Steven Schneider, who also produced Paranormal Activity, Insidious, Devil Inside, and Shyamalan's Visit, Split, and Glass. Of all those films, I can say I liked Insidious. And the whole cast, the whole group from the first film returns in this one. And it's pretty much the same movie. I mean, it's one of those sequels where it doesn't really add a lot. Like, it doesn't really expand the story. It just kind of rehashes everything, just in different locations and different things. I don't fault it for that. Yes, it is. I would call it unoriginal. But I really like the concept so much that I can kind of get into it. You know, I like that there's a found footage film where it's not a haunted house. It's not a possession. I like the idea that it's this group of friends who are fans of, haunted attractions, scare houses. They go around to all the different ones, trying to find extreme ones. I guess I know a lot of ones in the previous film are real. I think most, if not all of these, were real as well. I mean, it doesn't even give a budget. So, although you can tell the budget is much bigger than the last one because the production's a lot better, which I'll get into the production. I mean, it immediately picks up with the last one left off. And actually, before I really get into the plot, I will say, just as a reminder, if you go to my previous video that says thank you 400 subs, I'm going like this in the thumbnail. If you have any questions for a Q&A, post them in the comments on that video. I'll answer them in another video next weekend. I'm doing 2 weeks this time. And also, if you haven't seen the first film, check out my review for that as well. But, it picks up immediately from the first film, where the first one ended. And it was kind of confusing as to whether it was found footage or not, because, like, they weren't really showing that there was other cameramen. It pretty much shows a police officer going up to the burial where Brandy was at the end of the last one. And just the way it was shot, it was just like, well, who's filming? How did they get this? The production is much higher. Like, I would say it doesn't look found footage like, I don't really want to say Blair Witch because that was 1999, but there's certain found footage films that can get the look right, and then there's ones that look like Hollywood made it. And it pretty much shows her getting dumped off in the middle of nowhere with all these tapes that has the group's names on them. Then we pick up 1 year later. We see that everyone's still alive. It was, sort of acted like it was a publicity stunt, which I just want to... Yeah, the two main guys, they're pretty much going around all these different attractions, like, oh, these are from the viral internet sensation known as Coffin Girl. because Brandy's coffin had a live feed to the internet. She became a sensation. And they decide to go to do another round of scare houses again. But they find out that a lot of places are canceling because Coffin Girl won't be there. She's really like, it's scared. She's like suffered since then, like the traumatic stress from it. But eventually they convince her, and it's all the same thing. They go to different scare houses, they talk to the people there. We get the idea that they're being followed, and they go to the most extreme one at the end. That's literally it. It is almost exactly the same as the first one. So I can't really give it points for, you know, originality, but I can say I still liked it because I liked the concept, and it was cool to see, you know, it gave me all these places on my bucket list. Like there's this one place, I think it's called Akona. I'm probably gonna pronounce it wrong. I don't remember it. There's a place in Minnesota that's known as the Halloween capital of the world because it's where like Halloween parades and trick or treats started. Or like the zombie pub crawl, like there's a part where they get made up like zombies. It's not just scary houses, like they go on a hayride. There's one where you play like capture the flag with zombies. So they do different things in this one, but the whole structure of the film is essentially the same. Of course, instead of Blue Skeleton here, it's Hellbent. They keep hearing about this one place called Hellbent. They actually have a drone, so you get like a lot of cool overhead shots, which at first, with the credits, I was like, how are they getting these shots? It either do found footage or don't. The drone kind of made it a little bit more believable. But there was one part where I swear to God, like they're driving down the road in the RV. They have the drone way above them, following them. And there's a shot where someone in the skeleton mask is doing the Cape Fear, like holding on underneath the RV. And sort of how they mess with... They don't really mess with them in this one. It's more of just, it just happens. Like in the first one, there was tension and buildup of, okay, these people are gradually starting to fuck with them. Here, it's like it just happens. I mean, there's a couple places where the night vision will have like a blue tint to it, and it'll look like they're being watched. Like, they go to this one place, and a guy with the skull mask pops out. Brandy gets pissed. They show the manager, like, who's this guy? And he's like, that's not one of our actors. That's not one of our costumes. It just doesn't really seem to feel like a build-up like the first one did. And although I will say the final place was a little bit more extreme. Like, it felt more like a Saw type haunted house than like an actual creepy scare house like in the last one. I don't really want to keep comparing it to the first one, but it's sort of like those Hangover 2 type sequels where it literally is just the same thing, just repackaged. Another thing was the music. There was some songs used, which, I mean, I'm sure you could say it was the radio, or they played it over, you know, the sound system at the scare houses. But it was so clear that it sounded like it was part of the soundtrack. And I mean, Zombie Diaries did the same thing. This is a much, much, much better movie than Zombie Diaries. But found footage shouldn't have a soundtrack. That kills the illusion immediately. Not that the illusion was very strong with this one to begin with, but because the production is very clear. It does look like a Hollywood making Like, it felt more like Chernobyl Diaries, which isn't found footage, but because of the production, that's kind of how it looked. Like, it didn't really have that raw found footage feel. But, and yeah, the last scare house, you know, instead of seeing them all in these different types of rooms, it's like this warehouse or this big fucking house where they're being brutally killed and tortured in each room. And it looks believable. The I do kind of call BS on some of it cuz okay. I'm going to say spoilers here. I mean, if you liked the first one, you'll probably like this one. There's not much difference. But okay, so you know, Mike gets covered in gasoline and his face is set on fire. Spider. Um, the main guy gets his arm cut with a chainsaw. The other one, Bobby, they put like a shirt over his head and keep pouring fake blood on it so he can't breathe. Then they hit him in the head with something. Jeff, the driver, is seen hanging. I mean, it all looks passable. It all looks real. Not real like it's actually happening, but real in a sense like, because eventually Brandy is shown some footage that shows how they set it all up. So it's all prosthetic and everything, and it's like some of that looked a little too real within the film for someone to believe it. Of course, you can argue she's already scared, it's dark, it was kind of fast, sure. um, Ended on kind of a weird note because the doll face girl on the cover, like, we see Brandy go outside and these skull masked guys bring out a little casket. She opens it and there's a gun. They all take their masks off and it's the guys from the group. And they're saying like, what's going on? The fuck's going on? This isn't right. She shoots herself. Then we backtrack to when she gets pointed into a room by her, and they show her footage of how they set everything up, even from the previous film. And the casket was supposed to have a check in it for her. And from what I gathered, I guess the people put a pistol in there and showed her it was in there. Somehow there was like a squib or something, so they all believed she shot herself. I guess to get back at them or to scare them. And then that's pretty much it. She's pissed off at him. If I got that ending wrong, so what? There's really not much difference between this and the previous one. I mean, I got to see some cool attractions, but as a sequel, yeah, same film over again. Shorter review than usual, but I mean, it didn't really give me a lot to work with. I still enjoyed it. One of those movies, you know, sort of like Friday the 13th. It's the same formula. I mean, I like the first 7 of those, but I guess it changed enough, like the ending. Oh yeah, what I was gonna say, I was kind of. Well, actually, I guess that doesn't even matter. I was gonna say there's a part when they all go to bed, and it's like the blue night vision from outside. You see someone putting a thing through the fan in the roof, and it releases some sort of smoke. I guess to knock them all out. And then they're inside. Like, you see them unlock the door so they can get in. And pretty much the gas knocks them out, makes them sleep for a long ass time. So when they wake up, they're actually at Hellbent, like however many states away. they slept till like 4 p.m. They're trying to hurry. They open the curtain, they're already there. So I guess the ending shows that, yeah, that didn't really happen. Because I was like, okay, that worked out so perfectly. They all knocked out just enough with just enough time to get to where you had to be. But with the ending, they were behind everything. So not even really worth it to mention. But yeah, I mean, this is probably only going to appeal to people that were big fans of the first one. And the first one I liked. I thought it was refreshing as far as found footage goes because it wasn't a haunted house, wasn't possession. I do like the idea. And this one, maybe more forgettable than the first, but I can at least say it held my attention. It kept me interested to see what was going to happen. It at least did that. I liked it on that basis enough. But anyway, that's I know this wasn't a very in-depth review, but it's pretty much the same as the first one. So yeah, quick reminder, thank you to 400 subs. That's the thumbnail. Go leave any questions on there. I'll answer them next weekend. And also thank you all to 400 subs. Thank you to the I think there's 415 now, so thank you to the subs that have subscribed since then. Very thankful for all of you, and yeah, this was Houses October Built 2. Thank you for watching.